I worry about the future. What will life be like when I grow up? Human activities are accelerating climate change, which could have severe effects across Earth. But my dad works at BP, one of the world's top greenhouse gas emitters. Does this mean he doesn't care about my future? Does this mean, by default, that I don't care about the planet? My name is Stephanie. I'm 13 years old, and this is my environmental dilemma. It's always an interesting conversation at home. Dad, can you explain what BP does and what your job is?
We work to produce, oil and gas. We refine it, we distribute it. So I work in procurement and supply chain, which means, buying things.
BP emitted about 374 million tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent last year from its oil fields to its clients' car exhaust. Do you feel guilty working within the oil industry?
I don't, feel guilty. If I chose to leave, somebody else would, take my job. There's still a demand for oil and gas that brings heat, light and energy. Whether we like it or not, it's still an important part of the vast majority of ours, day-to-day life. What we need to be focused on is how we solve the problem. I have questioned whether I should go and work for a green company. I could work in wind or solar. However, to me that almost feels like walking away from the problem rather than staying to fix it.
When my friends ask what you do, sometimes I don't know if I should tell them you work in the oil industry. How does that make you feel?
It does make me feel sad that that I put you in that position. I understand why your friends or your generation feel like that as well. What these industries is going to need is people like yourself and your friends who actually care about the environment, and want to improve it, to come and work for these companies to ensure that they are improved, and then ultimately we do get to a net zero.
The oil and gas industry provides 75% of energy needs within the UK, as well as 270,000 jobs. But at what cost to the future of young people like me? What role do fossil fuel companies play in contributing to climate change?
The way we consume energy, our electricity, much of that is produced by burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuel companies are currently a very, very large contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gases that we keep pumping into our atmosphere by burning fossil fuels predominantly, they make our planet hotter, create extreme weather events. And the impact on human life is radical and potentially irreversible.
BP is pledging to become a net zero company by 2050 by generating energy in more sustainable ways. Is that enough?
Are they going to stop selling fossil fuels altogether by 2050? No, they aren't. Net zero is only good as the absolute absence of fossil fuels, and BP is not there. So no, it is not enough.
What would you say my dad needs to do about the climate situation?
There are no humans that are working for fossil fuel companies, and BP included, that wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to destroy the climate. And I'm certain about your dad, because he raised you and you look at the questions that you ask and about your interest. I am certain that the thing that he wants most for you and for all of us is a safe and healthy world. So it's really about getting everyone supported through this really difficult transition, kind of address it from multiple angles, not just from the no more oil means that we fire all the oil workers, but it's actually about taking care of everyone, because that is part of a sustainable future.
BP is pledging to become a net zero company by 2050, when I'll be 42 years old. The strategy involves generating energy in more sustainable ways and helping others decarbonise too. But BP said oil and gas will remain part of the energy mix for decades.
I believe I can have a bigger impact doing what I'm doing now rather than going to a company that is already green.
I like to think my dad could be part of the solution, but I can't stop thinking about whether that will really be enough to save our planet.